I think 2020's been a really interesting year for lots of reasons, not least because of all the COVID impacts. But from a Water Unite perspective, I think there's been some fantastic progress that we've made throughout the year. I suppose the highlight of that really was the UN event that we had back in September, where we had two of the chiefs from the UN agencies come and speak to a collection of 38 governments and 33 retailers. And I think the power of Water Unite really to bring those kind of people together is testament to what we're trying to do. So I think it was a really powerful event and it went really, really well. So I think the impact of COVID this year is touched every single part of society, and not least the retail grocery sector as well. And what we found is that retailers particularly have had to focus on dealing with things like the safety and security of their staff and their customers, dealing with supply chain disruption as products become impacted through COVID in other countries, as well as dealing with consumer changes about how they're shopping. So there's been this big change towards click and collect or delivered groceries. So there's been a huge amount of pressure on the retail grocery sector this year. But I think the fact that we're still having fantastic dialogue with retailers in every continent in the world, bar Antarctica, I think has been fantastic, and really looking forward to continuing those conversations next year. It's been really interesting, and this is a bit of a segue into some work that we're doing with Kantar globally, and we're going to be sharing that in the new year, which is going to be really interesting work to see. And what Kantar have seen is a real shift in consumer attitudes and behaviour during the COVID pandemic. And what they've really started to focus on is the wider impact in the world. So we already knew that people were engaged with things like climate change, but that has just started to accelerate. And I think from our perspective, that what's really interesting is that closely followed behind climate change are two real pressing issues for consumers globally. One is plastics and the other one is water safety and security. And when you see 50% of all of consumers' concerns sit within climate change, plastic and water, I think that tells you something about the work that we're trying to do with Water Unite. I think 2021 is going to be a somewhat different year. Clearly, the pandemic won't have completely gone away, but we're seeing massive changes in the delivery of vaccines that are happening globally. And from our perspective, there are some real key events that are happening next year. Kicking off with World Water Day, which is a UN-backed event in March, followed by CHOGM and Davos in June, looking through to Stockholm for the SIWI event in August. And then at the back end of the year, obviously, we've got COP26 as well. So there's a really packed agenda that Water Unite is going to be a part of all the way through the year. I think in summary, what we've achieved this year has been fantastic. We've created some amazing engagement globally, not only with retail partners, but with development agencies and with governments as well, and also with our colleagues at the United Nations. And we're really looking to expand that and grow those kind of relationships through 2021. I think what we've done in deploying money into programs from as far as Jordan, Pakistan, through Uganda, Kenya, India, and Mozambique is going to be just expanded upon next year. We've got a really good pipeline of investment opportunities for the Impact Fund, and it's going to be really exciting to see some of those retail contributions start to be deployed during 2021.